On this film, I more or less went through each of the characters and designed all the elements that each of the characters needed, whether it be wigs, prosthetics, eyes, hands, claws, knives, and all the things that those do and interact in the film. Yeah, Brian had very specific requirements, and he wanted to keep everything as natural as humanly possible. He didn't want to go over the top with anything. So we tried to keep it as realistic as humanly possible. But that's I kind of specialize in that kind of thing. So I was very glad that he wanted to keep it as realistically as possible. Some of the things seem to be a little over the top, but it's only because of the subject matter, I think.
I want it to be, yeah, without it being like a cartoon. I want the human, real version of that.
No, Jennifer,
but that's a style.
Well, we used the comic books as much as we possibly could, but Brian wanted to lift it a bit out of the two-dimensional realm and make it a real world situation where these characters may indeed actually exist. I mean, given the fact that actors are actually playing them and not two-dimensional drawings, you have to make the adjustment. If they're not believable as characters, they're just not believable, period. The Wolverine character, his two primary elements are the style of his hair, his sideburns, and his infamous blades that come firing out of his hands.
We went through a lot of tests to get the look of Wolverine, because in the comics he ranges from having hair out to here, to having hair almost slicked back, to having the mask, the signature mask, and the wings, which are kind of almost wolf ear-like. So we had to get my hair up into this kind of position where it would still look as though he could walk into a bar and order a drink without everyone sort of staring at him, thinking, who is this freak? And also be the signature Wolverine, because he has to have that look. It is so emblematic of the character. And I think what we've come down to now with the look is, particularly with the hair I'm talking about, is a great compromise of being, which is exactly a good metaphor for the movie too, of still being true to the comic, of being a universe that we can still believe in without going, these are a whole lot of freaks, and also being enough into the future to transport us. So we also had to then worry about my facial hair, because with the hair going up and no facial hair, it just looked too clean. It looked too, so would I have stubble? And that didn't work. Wolverine has, in the comics again, it fluctuates from hair starting here and going back to just a little bit of hair.
He's wearing very tiny, small hair pieces on his chops here, and we did have some insets in the back of his head that we've since eliminated since his hair's been growing.
So in the end, what happened is we have to shave out a little section here, giving you all the secrets now. We shave out a little section, they place in a little insert which is longer than the rest, which sweeps back to kind of give that feral look. Not like he's a wolf man, but it looks a little bit feral. And so the overall, and then you have to shave in here, because if you have my whole face covered in hair and everything, you wouldn't get anything human or any kind of real reaction. So I'm now in a hair routine daily, which takes me about an hour and a quarter, and I now fully understand the plight of most actresses on movie who usually have to appear an hour before I even get out of bed, just to get their makeup done. So the other thing he has, which any kid will tell you, is that Wolverine has claws, okay? And they are housed in his arms. So his adamantium skeleton is all over his body as it existed. And they've placed in there these three sheaths or claws of metal that are sort of up his forearm. And when he chooses to, particularly when he's angry, he can shook them, that's S-H-O-O-K, out of his fists. So they come out through the skin and come out to about here. And these are razor sharp on all sides and all edges and can slice through any metal or any substance on the earth. So basically it makes him a pretty decent fighting machine.
Well, I have a whole set of blades. There's probably about 15 different sets of different configurations that he wears. Some he wears in gloves, some that he he wears on his bare hands. Some of them are real, some of them are plastic, some of them are bendy, some of them are chopped off for punching through walls and stuff like that. His character turned out to be pretty straightforward.
Wolverine's an attitude. Wolverine is a state of mind. It sounds terrible, but it is. The look is 30% of it, and the rest of it is down to in here.
Sabretooth again. He's about a little over 2 hours. He's wearing full prosthetics from here up, full wig, eyebrows, and full big sideburn chops and stuff like that. He's got quite a bit.
It is a heck of a process. There's several hours in a makeup chair. I've got prosthetics that I go through. I've got a long wig that I'm wearing to add to my hair.
He also has teeth. We've made him some interesting teeth that we like to call vampire teeth, but they're not supposed to be vampire teeth, but they're kind of like that. And he also has very large scleral lenses, black lenses that he has to wear.
With the prosthetics and the whole look, the cat-like look that I take on to become Sabretooth, turns me into a rather vicious person.
The only real complication with his character is that he himself sweats a lot, so it's he has a lot of action and stuff like that. But the prosthetics are designed in such a way that it's very easy to just set them back down again. We haven't had to take one off and redo them at any point in time, and he wears his prosthetics an average of 12 to 15 hours a day.
You know, people like you are the reason I was afraid to go to school as a child.
Mystique is a whole different ball of wax. Mystique is a very elaborate process. She's wearing 17 very large prosthetics and about between 50 and 60 small little prosthetics. I've developed a new prosthetic that we're testing more or less on this picture, where we essentially don't need to glue the prosthetic down aside from its very edges. It sticks by itself. So the process of putting his prosthetics on and getting them painted up and stuff like that, we can do to 15 and 20 minutes. They're pre-colored, and all the eyebrows and things like that are pre-punched into it, and they self-stick, so it's pretty straightforward.
I had to sit through 7 to 8 hours, excruciating hours of makeup every day. So, well, not every day. I was in and out of Toronto for the 4-month period that they were shooting the film, but it was really hard. My call times would be 1 to 3 a.m. for the most part.
I have a hydraulic table, one of those things that a doctor would have, sort of a thing. And she does most of the makeup, most of the application of the prosthetics and stuff like that are done on that table. I have a crew of girls that look after that.
It was 4 women who worked on me, and the 30. It was like 2/3 of my body covered in prosthetics, and then the rest prosthetic scales, like sheets of prosthetics, and then over 100 prosthetics in all.
The prosthetics are all translucent and already have the color built into them, so that we put them down over top of her own skin.
They're very thin, and they move really well. I mean, they're so stretchy. But I don't feel naked once I have them all on, even though I guess I look fairly naked. And for a while, you know, because it's kind of cold outside right now, for a while I thought they'd keep me warm, but they don't. It's kind of like wearing wet clothes when I have them on. They kind of make me colder.
Is it itchy or uncomfortable?
No, I mean, it seals off my skin, but it's not uncomfortable at all. It's actually very, very comfortable.
And then the color that we mix to airbrush then matches that relationship, the marriage between the translucent blue prosthetic and her own skin. and then we married that into the paint.
And then the rest was all airbrushed blue paint, which made me really sick to my stomach.
We started the logic by designing her, by coloring her with food coloring, because we were not aware of any paint that would be believable enough that it didn't just look like somebody had been airbrushed. Because we're shooting with the kind of film we're shooting with and stuff like that, any kind of a particle is very, very visible on film. So the illusion was that her skin was blue, not that she was painted blue. So when we started with the food coloring, our first thing was to try and find a way to get the food coloring off, because the word food coloring in my business is an absolute and utter no-no. But we did find product that would allow us to get that food coloring completely off her entire body within an hour after we started, which was quite something, because normally food coloring's on you for about a week. But we flipped over to that due to the sensitivity of her profession, being a model and stuff like that. And we found a much more tolerable airbrush paint that paints very, very well. And because of the sweating, and there was a time when there was going to be raining and stuff like that, so we had to find something that also was not going to move with water. So this is an alcohol-based paint. It's still a bugger to paint her whole body, in the sense that you fill a whole environment full of paint as you're airbrushing. So you have to go at it slow and easy, so you don't die of paint fumes.
And it actually wasn't the makeup application process that got to me after a while. It was the maintenance of it that was so horrible, because the pieces would shift and I'd get little halos of skin around the edges of my prosthetics, and so they were constantly re-airbrushing, repainting my body, and so the maintenance really killed me. And plus I had to wear a wig and 2 pairs of contact lenses.
Vibrant yellow eyes with little brown spots in them. Again, very large scleral lenses. So she wears a bandage lens, we call, over her pupil and iris, which acts as like a cushion between her own eyes and the scleral lens. These are soft lenses, not hard lenses. So it makes it a little easier for her to deal with. And it is a very, very small opening for her to see, so her vision is minimal, to be kind about it.
It was the most mind-numbing process you could ever imagine. And I maintain that nobody without modeling experience could have handled it. I still have blue pores.
My character, he's got toad features, and skin is green, and my hair has got a green tint to it.
Toad Ray, we are using food coloring on, and it works very, very well. His hands and whole head are kind of this off mustardy, kind of greeny, pukey kind of color. And he has a series of little warts or growths on his face that are pre-made that we just glue on.
I have dark eyes, black amphibious eyes. I have low receding gums, or low gums with small teeth.
Where the gums almost cover 2/3 of his teeth, and he's just got these little tiny bits of teeth poking through the gums, and the gums are kind of a pukey green too, and kind of spotty, and he has a spectacular set of toad eyes, again, full scleral lenses with odd sort of almost heart-shaped, kind of, or teardrop-shaped pupils.
Out of all the other guys who do have prosthetics on or makeup, I'm the least in there. Out of the guys that have makeup on. So it's, I don't know, total, including hair and everything, maybe half an hour to 45 minutes. So it's pretty good.
The only things we have to do with him is when he gets sweaty, we have to touch him down a little bit. But he's very easily maintained.
Ah, my brothers. Welcome.
Magneto, now I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but we built him a bodysuit to give him Magneto's form. So underneath that magnificent wardrobe is a rather odd-looking bodysuit that gives him his muscular physique. All the characters, due to the nature of the way Brian works and the nature of the film and how much action's in the movie and stuff like that, all had to be designed very practically and very simply. There was just no way that we could spend copious amounts of time with these characters away from camera.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Brian has sort of assembled a team around himself, since Suspects. We have Louise Mingenbach back as costume designer, and she's brought, I think, a great amount of flair to the costumes, but keeping them grounded in reality. And that was the key thing, was not to make them look like they were running around in yellow spandex or blue spandex, but to keep it real.
I think Brian's intention, when we're trying to follow through on this, is to create these characters and these powers as if they could really happen in our world today.
Prove it.
So one of the reasons they don't run around in say, the comic book outfits of a bright yellow bodysuit is that might be kind of goofy today and would be not very realistic. So we've tried to design, from the uniforms to the powers that they have, that these people might yet be among us.
It would be very hard to translate the comic book exactly for when nobody has the bodies of those characters, so there's no way we could look like them. So Brian chose to make us very real and hopefully more relatable. And I think the people that are expecting to see the exact translation may feel a little disappointed or cheated, but I don't really think there was a realistic way to do that and not make it sort of cheesy or very cheap looking.
From what I've seen from the comic book, it's definitely sort of a step away from that. The Jean Grey that I'm playing is more elegant. She is kind of, like I said, she helps Professor Xavier, so she is sort of a doctor who knows a lot about genetics and things, and so we have her wear glasses at times, and it's just sort of a more conservative, classic, elegant look.
I love that first time the four of us came out on set in our costumes, our X-Men costumes, to see the excitement. It was about 3 weeks in, and that was one of the first moments that I understood the complete 100% passion of everyone involved in it, because you saw these people who had been working on this for 3 years, had envisioned this. They had been reading the comic books however long, and for them to see the four X-Men as we come out of the water, just about to come up to the Statue of Liberty head, we come out of the water and just take our positions and our marks and look up the Statue of Liberty all in our costumes. It was like cut, and everyone goes, right, started cheering, and there was crowds down there. We were down in Hamilton by the water, and to keep the secrecy, we were cloaked, and it was at that moment I thought, this is amazing. These are people's dreams we're living out here, and it was fantastic.
It was all leather, so the more you wear it, obviously, the more flexible it gets. But we had to do you remember the scene in the movie where we approached the Statue of Liberty at the end, and we had to kind of hop over the seawall? And it's like, 1.5 feet, 2 feet, but you do have to take a step over or, put your hand on it and hop. And they rolled camera, and it was the first time all of us were in our suits, and none of us could get over this wall.
I could hop over like this, but I can't promise you I'll land every time.
Oh, okay. Oh my God! Whoa! Oh my God! Careful!
It's just impossible to get your leg up.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god.
I had trouble getting my leg over before, but hey, so was the first.
Oh god, I'm gonna twist my ankle.
The blooper reel. We should, yeah. I don't know if we're gonna
Print
need
everything.
to stage it.
No.
Oh, Jimmy, what are you doing? What was that? Ripping the material. This is insane. Nobody could move in this. I know, it's me. You can't do it.
Hey, that's it.
And now don't breathe.
And don't breathe. So Gee's taking pictures of us in our hotel right now with a telescopic lens.
Yeah.
It's going. The new comedy X-Men.
I mean, like they have the footage of it. I hope they'll put it on the DVD. But we like tripped and like we fell flat on our faces, and because we couldn't get our legs high enough with these suits, so you couldn't feel less like a superhero in these costumes.
Hey,
It's a little tight.
No, it's fine. This one's got a little breathing problem. But as long as we look good, that's the main thing. X-Men, that's all I'm here for.
Just when I trip, just come and help me out or something. Guaranteed.
Hold your breath, but don't make it look like you're holding your breath.
Jimmy's like, fuck, what? This fog kind of mashed it.
No.
Alright.
Oh!
Touch it!
It's a cut.
Oh,
breathe.
I know, I forgot. I had too much on my mind.
Oh, me
I
too.
had to get over that wall.
Oh, hang on.
And then Cyclops, you look up, and then all of you sort of follow suit naturally, you know, not like the Rockettes. All right? Let's see. And I'll be speaking to you from the big microphone, which everyone hates that I have.
And to sing these
Joel
boots are
Schumacher
made
has
for
one.
walking, Brian Singer.
We're gonna take the batteries out of it.
Oklahoma.